I don't need to pierce these three granthis to awaken the Kundalini energy. I give Shaktipat Diksha to someone who has never practiced Hatha Yoga in his lifetime. Kriyas start manifesting him. He starts practicing Yoni Mudra. Natural state for any human mind is Samadhi only. All hell breaks loose after that.
What really happens when Kundalini Shakti pierces the Brahma Granthi, Vishnu Granthi, and Rudra Granthi? After Shaktipat, what are the signs of surrender to the divine or the Guru Tattva? And have you ever wondered exactly how much sadhana you should be doing for real spiritual progress? And how does Kundalini awakening lead to higher spiritual states like Savikalpa Samadhi? Today, we have our Grand Guru to answer it all for us from someone who has lived it. Namaste. On this episode of our Shaktipat podcast, we will uncover some mysterious aspects of Kundalini awakening and clear doubts that many Siddha Mahayoga practitioners face on a daily basis. And this guidance will come from someone who has direct experience of Kundalini awakening and has guided hundreds of sincere seekers across the globe on this path. Joining me today is my Guru Ma's own Guru, our Grand Guru, retired Colonel T. Srinivas Suluji. Guruji studied at Sainik School Korukonda in Andhra Pradesh before going to the National Defense Academy and then the Indian Military Academy. He lived a very disciplined life serving our country. And then in November 2007, Guruji became a disciple of His Holiness Swami Sahajananda Tirtha, thus joining the ancient Shaktipat lineage, also known as Siddha Mahayoga lineage. Guruji received his Shaktipat initiation in November 2007, and for over 18 years now, he has walked this path with unwavering steadiness. Guruji has also written a book based on his own experiences of Kundalini awakening, The Power Unknown to God. This book is the most comprehensive and practical work ever written on Kundalini awakening. It has now been translated into 24 languages across the world. Today, Guruji stands as the Grand Guru and the great Grand Guru of this lineage. And many of his disciples and their own disciples are now active Shaktipat Gurus, carrying this divine tradition to different corners of the world. Guruji, my respectful pranam to you, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving us your precious time and clearing our doubts.
God bless you. God bless all of you.
For those who are new here, my name is Krishna Mohan Pandey. I am from Lakhimpur Kheri and I work as a freelance digital marketer. 9 months ago, I received my Shaktipat Diksha from my Guru Ma, Yogeshwari Rachanaji. And today, I have brought a few questions that keep surfacing in my mind again and again. Ones I haven't yet found a complete answer to. So with Guruji's grace and blessings, let's begin with today's questions. Guruji, my first question is, on the path of Siddha Mahayoga, is there any significance of piercing the Brahma Granthi, Vishnu Granthi, and Rudra Granthi by the awakened Kundalini?
The word or the phrase which you have used, Brahma Granthi, Vishnu Granthi, and Rudra Granthi, they do not belong to the path of Shaktipat. They belong to Hatha Yoga, to my little knowledge, as per my little knowledge. They don't form part of any other yoga system or a tantric system for that matter. It is just that people trying to mix up everything. Okay, first of all, let us understand first what they mean, and then probably after I finished talking to you, you yourself will realize where the disconnect is happening. Usually, the word Brahma Granthi or the Vishnu Granthi or the Rudra Granthi, they are associated with three body pairs of chakras. That is, Brahma Granthi is associated with the lower two chakras. Vishnu Grandhi in the middle two chakras, and of course the Rudra Grandhi, the upper two chakras. Now we are talking about only six here. We are not talking about the Sahasrara chakra. That is outside even the discussion. So let us not even discuss about Sahasrara chakra. We restrict ourselves only to this three body pairs or the lower six chakras. So when we say Brahma Grandhi, it is associated with the root chakra, that is the Muladhara chakra, or the sacral chakra, that is at the genital region, which we call it as Swadhisthana chakra. So anything which is physical in nature, physical desires, unfulfilled ambitions, or the physical trauma as such, the impressions are recorded elsewhere, that is deep within your subconscious mind, rather uh, at the intellect, at the level of intellect, represented by Agni Chakra, they are recorded elsewhere. But in their little grosser form, they are also uh, recorded along the cerebrospinal system. That's why some they refer it to as psychic knots. Because Grandhi means what? Grandhi means basically knot. Either you refer to them as psychic knots because they are not visible to the naked eye, or we want to further make it more little more understandable. Understand it as calcified knot. As you all know, the cerebrospinal system is basically made of calcium. It's a calcium material. So that calcium dust, the fine dust which is accumulated along these three knots or the three regions, you can say that Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi, or Rudra Grandhi. That means obviously it is also not visible to our naked eye. Maybe even the science will not be able to fathom it. That fine layer of, of the calcified knot, or the fine layer of that calcium material in the most finer form, where the all your trauma is now imprinted now along the lower two chakras. If it is physical trauma, along the Vishnu Grandhi, that is somewhere between Anahata chakra and Manipura chakra. If it is emotional trauma, and if it is concerning the intellectual nature, anything concerning intellectual or egoism, it is recorded somewhere either in the Agni chakra or the Vishuddha chakra. Somewhere in between is the you have the Rudra Grandhi. So these three Grandhis per se, you can say they are purified in Hatha Yoga. What they do, they are purified so that it becomes easy for Kundalini Shakti to get awakened. You need to understand the mechanism involved here. Otherwise, what will happen is there is so much of fog. When I say fog, misunderstanding, misconceptions. People read something about Brahma Grandhi, Rudra, no, Vishnu Grandhi, Rudra Grandhi. They think that they are like balloons which can be pierced. Suddenly, it is going to blast, and all of a sudden, a person is going to get supernatural powers, is going to spiritually go to some heavenly abode. All this childish understanding will keep on creating a havoc in the mind of everyone. If this fog has to be cleared, first you need to understand why these grandhis have been formed, and exactly why they are pierced, first of all, in Hatha Yoga. In Hatha Yoga, what they are doing is they are trying to basically awaken the Kundalini energy using a technique of their own. And I'm not an expert in Hatha Yoga. So I can only give you that broad outline of the mechanism which they must be following it. Because I basically happen to be a Shaktipat Guru. I don't need to pierce this three granthis in order to awaken the Kundalini energy. Now, if I say this, now people will say, what kind of a spiritual guru is? He's talking what nonsense. He says that how can, without piercing the granthis, he can awaken the Kundalini energy? Arey Baba, let me say something. If I have to move from, let's say, Hyderabad to Delhi, I got various options. I can take a passenger train, I can take a super fast train, right? So if I happen to take a passenger train, the train will stop at each and every small place. I may get a chance to have a cup of tea or coffee on the platform. I will be able to see what the station is all about. It's a small station, local station, and the train is going to stop at that place for a few minutes. Suddenly, there may be someone who may be selling some beautiful artifacts. Similarly, as I move from Hyderabad city to Delhi, northward, for example, stopping at all the passenger uh, stations, are the small minor stations, then obviously I will have a complete data of all these points. But if I'm traveling in a super fast train, they will just flash by in front of my eyes. I won't even get a chance to notice what is there. And tomorrow, when I say I have traveled from Hyderabad to Delhi many times, people will now ask me, have you seen that particular station? There is an old woman who sells a beautiful artifact of that particular area. No, I say sorry. I didn't even notice what station you are talking about. Because for me, traveling in a Rajdhani Express or a superfast train, that minor small station would have flashed by in no time. Now, if you say, no, he is lying, how can you go from Hyderabad to Delhi without passing through that station? Now, who's saying that I haven't passed through that station? It is just that I was traveling in a superfast train. I was not traveling in a passenger train. That's why there was no necessity for me to notice it in the first place. Now, this is the problem with everyone. Now, if I say like this, people misunderstand me. Okay, now let me give you another example. You have to raise a loan for constructing your house. You try to pull in the resources. Firstly, you see how much savings you have in liquid form. See if you can convert some of your assets into the liquid form, minor value assets, so that you can use it for purchase of your immobile property, something like, let's say, gold or a small piece of land which you don't intend to use. So you have liquidated them. You already have some money. You have liquidated some minor assets and raised some funds. Now you borrowed some at some little hefty rate of interest. And finally, you have gone in for a large size of loan at a nominal rate of interest. Somehow you manage to take the possession of the asset. Now suddenly you have now been blessed with a lump sum bounty of money. Let's say that you won a lottery. So all these assets that asset which you have accumulated through various stages. Remember earlier, your life is now forever now bound by EMI. forever. It is now bound by EMI because you have to pay, return the loan. Now, all of a sudden, the loan has vanished because you got a lump sum money which has entered into your account, which you couldn't imagine earlier. Because earlier you were only dependent on your savings, which you painfully accumulated month by month, month after month. Now, here is the another situation. All of a sudden, a hefty amount has been pumped into your account. Your home loan has vanished in no time. That means your 20 years of your fate or your destiny, which would have been tied up repayment of the loan, you have been freed from that slavery. You have been freed from that karma within no time, because the lump sum amount which has been blessed with to you, it has somehow made that entire your loan get neutralized within no time. The bank will just take a few hours. They will settle the account. They will give you the no objection certificate that loan is clear. Here are your papers. Your property is freed from your loan. Your karma has been freed, or you have been freed from your 20 years of your destiny. Now, if someone says, no, 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 how is it possible? Yes, it is not possible. Who said that it will be possible? It will be possible only for a few people. But there are people for whom it is possible. It's possible. It's not that everyone who's taken a home loan is forever bound by that EMIs. Anything can happen. Someone may retire from his job. He may get the pensionary benefits in lump sum, or anything else may happen. Similarly, when you say that in Hatha Yoga, when they attempt to raise Kundalini energy, they do it by a process. There's something known as Yoni Mudra, which they use, to my knowledge. All the openings or the apertures of the body are closed, and there is Pran and Apan. There are two life forces playing inside the human body. Pran Shakti is trying to go upward. Apan is trying to go downward. Life force, as we know, it operates in 5 parts inside the human body. I'm talking about the major life forces. And there are 5 more minor life forces also. But among these 5 major life forces, the 2 main things are Pran and Apan. These are 2 life forces pulling at each other in opposite directions. And as long as they both keep pulling at each other, life is sustained. If they both decide to go in one direction, either death will occur or moksha will happen. So what these Hatha yogis do usually, they arrest all the apertures of the body using their hands, and using the left heel and the right heel of the legs, they close the genital organ and also the anus. With the left heel, they close the anus, and with the right heel, they close the genital aperture. Now the life force is pressed down by using the Yoni Mudra, because the breath is now arrested internally, with all the apertures are closed. There is nowhere for this mixture of Pran and Apan to go, and it is pressed downward, and it breaks open the gate of central channel, that is the cerebrospinal system or the Sushumna Nadi, the entrance of the Sushumna Nadi, also called as Brahmadwar, that is pierced first. And when that is pierced, the mixture of the life force, the pran and apan, it starts climbing up. Now, as it starts climbing up, Kundalini energy is situated bang at that very spot where the gate is closed. The gate of Sushumna Nadi, where it is closed earlier, Kundalini energy is sitting there only, bang at that spot. It is just that the Hatha Yogi used the mixture of this pran and apan vayu to break through the gate. And the mixture of pran and apan, that is pran shakti, remember, it is not Kundalini Shakti. Pran Shakti, it starts rising first. Now, as it starts rising the central channel, Kundalini energy follows immediately behind. It doesn't have to be deliberately risen again. The moment the gate is open, automatically, as the life forces starts rising, clearing the central channel, Kundalini Shakti also follows suit. Now, to make it happen, as I said, they use this Yoni Mudra. And to make the things easier, because see, when the Prana Shakti is piercing the Brahmadwara, it is piercing the root chakra first, followed by the sacral chakra, and then followed by other chakras. It is usually said it is very painful also. So therefore, before attempting to do this, they would like to clear the muck, first of all. That's why it is suggested that there is something known as Nadi Shuddhi, or the cleaning of the subtle channels of the energy. You must have heard about the famous Anuloma Viloma, that is alternate nostril breathing. Why do you think what they do in the alternate nostril breathing? In the alternate nostril breathing, your subtle channels of energy, they get cleaned up. So when doing this alternate nostril breathing, when the pranayama is being performed before, now what is happening? The calcified deposits along Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi, and Rudra Grandhi, your physical trauma, emotional trauma, and the intellectual trauma, karma is there in the deep within. That is not, nothing is happening to that as of now. Don't get taken carried away. It is only the gross form of that data is getting deposited along these three granthis. It is something like a static in an electric wire, you can call it. I don't know how best to give you the example. As a human being keeps on breathing, all the physical trauma, emotional trauma, and the intellectual trauma, it keeps getting deposited somewhat like a static along these three calcified knots, or you call them psychic knots if you want. So when you are doing this pranayama, the simplified, this breathing exercises, anuloma and viloma, now what do you think is happening here? If you see, the cerebrospinal system has got the Sushumna Nadi in the as the central channel, and there are one on the left side, one on the right side. We call it Ida and Pingala Nadis. They keep crisscrossing with each other, forming like a shape of 8. 2 Nadis. Left side, you have what you call it as Ida Nadi. It originates on the left side of the root chakra. To be precise, left side of the testicles of the male genital organ, left side, Ida nadi. And as they crisscross each other, at every alternate chakra, that is even number chakra, the left one goes towards right side, the right one goes towards left side. Because they're crisscrossing. So from the root chakra, as they grow up to rise up to the Agni chakra, that is sixth chakra. Sixth is the even number, right? So the one which has started from the left side of your testicles, it terminates in the right side of the nostril. And opposite thing happens with Pingala Nadi. It originates from the right side of the testicle and terminates in the left side of the nostril. Now, in an ordinary human being, what you are doing when day-to-day life, 24/7, you are continuously breathing through your nose, sometimes through your left side, sometimes through your right nostril. You know that. Modern biology says that. I'm not saying it. You don't continuously breathe with your both nostrils. You both nostrils are not functioning simultaneously. Sometimes you breathe with the left, sometimes you breathe with the right. They keep alternating. And as the breathing is taking place, your physical trauma, your emotional trauma, and the intellectual trauma, it is getting constantly, you can say, deposited along the calcified knots, which you are now referring to as Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi, and Rudra Grandhi. Just like, imagine yourself like a kind of an process of electrolysis, because you're constantly breathing 24/7. And the trauma is now the karmic dust is now getting deposited among the three Grandhis now. So when you do this Anuloma Viloma deliberately, the alternate nostril breathing, you are trying to reverse the process by conscious effort. Look, there is a garden pipe. There's dust got settled inside the pipe. So how do you clean the pipe? You forcefully pump in the water from one side, so that forcefully the dust particles get ejected out, the jet, along with the jet of the water. Then what you do? You reverse the pipe. Again pump in the fast moving water, a jet of water again in the reverse direction. Now the pipe is clean. Now with this Anuloma Viloma, you are precisely doing that. By deliberately attempting it, you are now trying to clean these three knots: Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi, and Rudra Grandhi. The calcified knots are the calcium dust, or the karmic dust. You're trying to clean it up. It doesn't mean that your karma is getting wiped off. No. It is just that things are becoming little easy. Because later on, when you happen to pierce the Brahmadwara, that is the gate of the Sushumna Nadi, and the Prana Shakti, or the life force, it starts piercing through the chakras, things become a little easier. Yes, as the chakras are getting pierced through, automatically the Grandhis are also pierced, right? The so-called Brahma Grandhi. As the Shakti life force is passing through the Muladhara chakra and the Swadhisthana chakra, or the root chakra or the sacral chakra, the Brahma Grandhi is located somewhere in between these two chakras. It is a kind of an average spot. Brahma Grandhi is a kind of an average spot where all this karmic data pertaining to these two lower chakras only these two lower chakras. I'm not talking about other chakras now. Just to give you a hint, if you see the root chakra, it is associated with the sensory organ of smell. It is also associated with the organ of defecation, and is also associated with the organ, with the physical element of earth, or the principle of solidity. And there are 4 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet imprinted on the various petals of the root chakra. So the root chakra is associated with so many things now. Similarly is the Swadhisthana chakra, which is associated with the genital organ. Now when the Brahma Grandhi is pierced or it's cleaned up, it becomes easy for the piercing of the chakras also now. Brahma Grandhi, which is in the gross form, which is located between the root chakra and the sacral chakra. When the Brahma Grandhi is cleaned up, later when the life force is piercing through the chakras, things won't it become little easy. So that's why I was telling you, this entire phrase, this entire terminology pertains to Hatha Yoga. Now, someone who is pursuing the path of knowledge, Gyan Marg, or the Jnana Marga in Sanskrit, what has he got to do with this piercing of chakras or the pierce of grandhis? Similarly, you have got so many great devotees who have followed the path of devotion. They also don't experience the piercing, the painful piercing of the chakras. When the painful piercing of chakras is not experienced, obviously the grandhi is also not experienced. Again, you come back to the original example I had given you. As I am traveling from Hyderabad to, let's say, Delhi, I will not notice all these minor stations when I'm traveling in a superfast express. So when you say, when a Shaktipat is done on someone, Kundalini Shakti is comprehensively activated right up to the cerebrospinal system, right up to Sahasrara chakra. All chakras are activated, and the neutralization of karma begins comprehensively. So how can you say that these chakras piercing or the piercing of grandhis has to be affected? Now I will come to the final point. This is the most important thing to understand. I have noticed many a time when I have given Shaktipat Diksha to people, suddenly they have started practicing Hatha Yoga. Suddenly they started practicing various mudras which they have never done in their life. Now I will ask this question, how it is happening? Because earlier, if the Kundalini energy has to safely rise to that Sahasrara chakra, that person has practiced, let's say, Hatha Yoga in the past. That is a mechanism through which is affecting the awakening of Kundalini energy. What is that mechanism? First, clean up the Brahma Grandhi, clean up the Vishnu Grandhi, clean up the Rudra Grandhi, pierce all the chakras by using various mudras. That's what we are doing. Now, I will now straight away hit the entire thing in one go. I will raise the Shakti directly by the Shaktipat. Now, all these things, physical things which have been used earlier as techniques, that person is now forcefully performing those mudras now. Just imagine this. I give Shaktipat Diksha to someone who has never practiced Hatha Yoga in his lifetime, and Shakti has been awakened, Kundalini energy, and Kriyas start manifesting him. And what are those Kriyas? He starts practicing Shanmukhi Mudra, he starts practicing Yoni Mudra. Who has taught him, first of all? Now, what does this show? It shows that piercing of the grandhis, piercing of the chakras or hatha yoga is a means towards an end known as awakening of Kundalini energy. When the end itself is directly affected, the means is automatically affected. That means if I take a super fast train from Hyderabad to Delhi, it is deemed, it is understood, Baba, I have passed to all the intermediate stations. You can't question me. Have you seen that old woman selling those artifacts on a small station between Hyderabad and, let's say, some Delhi? Because I'm not concerned with that. I'm moving in a super fast train. So therefore, this is where everyone goes wrong, and all spiritual knowledge is basically because of this lack of clarity. People listen something somewhere, read something somewhere, and they mix up everything. They don't make any sense out of it. Why they are being said? Otherwise, what has Shaktipat got to do with piercing of Grandhis? Shaktipat is like traveling in a super fast train from Hyderabad to Delhi. Whereas piercing of the Grandhis is like traveling in your passenger train or by going on a horseback. I hope your question has been answered now.
Yes, Guruji. Your explanation really clears up all doubts that sadhaks have regarding piercing these three granthis. And I really, really thank you for clearing these doubts. Now, my next question is, after Shaktipat initiation, all that remains is surrendering to the Guru and the Kundalini Shakti. But how to know how deep our surrender really is? Essentially, my question is, what are the signs of true surrender to the Guru Tattva or the Kundalini Shakti?
Look, I will ask you a opposite question now. You have drifted into a deep sleep. So while you are in deep sleep, I ask you, what are the signs of deep sleep? What are the signs of deep sleep? While you were in deep sleep, mind you, after you wake up, you will tell me, Guruji, I didn't know what was happening. I believe there was a lot of noise going on, but I didn't hear anything. I was deeply asleep. It's very refreshing, and I slept for nearly 10 hours. You will say all this after waking up from deep sleep. But while you are in deep sleep, if I ask you this question, you won't even respond because you are not even in this waking state. And your egoism has been completely dissolved. Therefore, when you ask this question, what are the signs of true surrender? Now, true surrender is a state of the mind which you drift into from the waking state. Just like from the waking state, you drift into dream state, and from dream state, you drift into deep sleep state. You travel in opposite direction and you drift into a kind of a total surrender, wherein upon which mind also becomes frozen virtually. You start drifting towards the state of samadhi. While this is happening, egoism is getting completely neutralized. Just like as it happens while you are drifting into dream state and sleep state. Do you have any sense of egoism when you are in a deep sleep? You are totally in a state of egoless. The entire egoism has been dissolved in a deep sleep. That's why generally, we keep referring The guy is sleeping like a child, like a baby. There's no egoism there. Anyway, similarly, when you drift towards the state of self-surrender, your egoism got to dissolve. Completely, it got to dissolve. As it dissolves more and more and more, you drift into a state of self-surrender more and more. And you ask the person, uh, are you exercising adequate self-surrender? You won't be able to even probably respond, because the egoism itself is not there. What can he even tell you? He maybe at the best he will say humbly, no, I don't think I have progressed much in the yoga system. I'm yet to learn how to exercise surrender to my guru. The state of egoism is getting dissolved there. Notwithstanding it, since you asked me this question, yes, we can arrive at certain signatures or signs when a person is drifting towards in a state of self-surrender to the divine. There is a famous example of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Puran. This incident happened, I think, long ago. I read it somewhere, and the commentary was made by none other than Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. None other than Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the guru of Swami Vivekananda. So what happened? One day he happened to, I think, visit Vrindavan near Mathura. There was a street play going on about love of Radha towards Lord Krishna. Suddenly someone informs Radha, Krishna has just walked into the bamboo grove of some other girl. Now, what generally people expect that, yeah, of course, Radha is got little upset. Then the same person who informed Radha, he inquires, look, Krishna is the incarnation, is the Lord. How can you have possessiveness for yourself on him? And Radha replies, this is very, very crucial to understand. Radha says, I'm not at all possessive about Krishna going to some other woman. I'm more concerned because that stupid woman doesn't know how to serve my Lord. Krishna may be at discomfort. I'm worried about him because the woman doesn't know how to serve Krishna. So Radha was worried about that. Radha was not worried about Krishna having any possessiveness or Krishna going to that other woman's residence. So this is a classic thing. In a state of self-surrender, all in what do you call that, imperfections of the mind, they start getting erased. Because the ego itself is getting neutralized. It's a very simple thing. You apply the formula everywhere. What happens when the ego is itself is attacked? That's what the self-surrender is supposed to do. That when the ego is itself is attacked, so many imperfections of the mind are removed. Yes, that person will become very brave. People say that brave men were always honored, and they say that success. No, when you say dharye sahasya Lakshmi, that is a Sanskrit proverb, or success lies in courage. And let me quote a French philosopher also, who lived during the time of Napoleon, I think, who says, courage has genius. And where the courage is coming from, it is coming from the state of surrender to the divine. And what is the profound impact of that state of surrender? When the courage is manifesting, all psychic powers which a human being experiences, even if they leave him, they start returning back. And no one knows how it happens. That is to say, every human being, he experiences the materialistic world around him in the form of 8 psychic powers. In Hinduism, we worship as Ashta Lakshmi, or the 8 forms of goddess of wealth. 8 forms of goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of sustenance, rather. Goddess Lakshmi is the goddess of sustenance of the world. It is not the creatrix. It is not the one who destroys and disintegrates it. Goddess Lakshmi sustains the world, or the sustaining power of the god. It manifests in 8 forms. When the one particular psychic power is unlocked, you become like a Hercules, physical strength and vigor. And that is, Dhari Lakshmi is not unlocked, is scared even with seeing a cat. The goddess of food or the psychic power has not been unlocked. He may be very rich, but he can't eat food because of so many problems. The goddess of wealth, if it doesn't get unlocked, the person experiences a poverty. But there is something known as goddess of courage. If the goddess of courage leaves, everything else is gone. And if the goddess of courage is there, everything else, even if they leave, they come back. So such is the power of the goddess of courage. That power of courage stems from the state of surrender. So in an absolute state of surrender, the person will be very courageous. Remember that. And because of that, so many other issues are also resolved now. I explained you just now the mechanism, how they are resolved. How just one thing, that simple act of surrender to the divine, how it is resulting in so many other things. All hell breaks loose. I use the sentence, all hell breaks loose after that, just by the act of self-surrender. It is such a profound concept. And a person who is in that state, firstly, he doesn't have the imperfections like possessiveness, which I gave you the example of Radha being possessive about Krishna, and not being possessive about Krishna, rather. Those kind of imperfections are removed from the mind. And the person is in a state of very high courage, high level of courage. So like that, and just you can apply the same principle like when you are drifting into a deep sleep, when the egoism is absolutely, gets dissolved. What all happens to the body. Even your repair of the body at the cellular level, it possible only in a deep sleep, if I'm not wrong. If that be the case, after all, in a simple physical body, so much of magic is happening because of the lack of egoism. Just imagine what will happen when the same thing is applied when you are in a waking state. So in a nutshell, what you are calling as a state of self-surrender, am I right? That's what your query was?
Yes.
I will call it the erosion of egoism here. I'm changing the terminology. That's all about it. You are calling it surrender. I'm saying that erosion of egoism. It leads to that. And surrender, why people say that you can't really, no one can deliberately surrender also. It's not that easy because of the psychological barriers. One has to break through many of these psychological barriers even to reach that level of surrender. And many of the disciples, they keep asking me this question: Guruji, how do we execute this state of self-surrender? So I've been telling, sorry, you can't do that because the implications are profound if you can do that. If you execute the state of self-surrender, you are virtually drifting into a state of egoless state. And if you drift into a state of egoless state, you know what all magic will happen now. Therefore, it becomes almost next to, or rather, it's so difficult to exercise this state of self-surrender deliberately. Well, that is the only thing left for anyone to do after Shaktipat. There nothing else is left. In fact, the entire very core of spiritualism is built on that foundation of self-surrender to the divine. And the divine is nowhere, is enshrined within the heart of everyone only. So when we say self-surrender, you are surrendering to your own self. You are not surrendering to another gentleman known as Mr. God. There is no Mr. God. There is only Mr. So-and-so, and that is you. And whatever surrender you are doing to your own self. And whatever the surrender you are doing to the Shakti, it is your own Shakti there. Because you and your Shakti are one and the same. They are like two sides of the same coin. Therefore, what one can do, you only undertake the necessary steps. Whether the self-surrender occurs, I'm using the word, whether the self-surrender happens or the phenomena manifests by itself or not is not under our control. And what are the necessary steps you can take? Just like I gave you the example of drifting into deep sleep, switch off your light in the room, ensure the room is comfortable, see that there are no mosquitoes. Importantly, switch off your television, stop watching Netflix, close your eyes, and it is not in your control whether you will drift into deep sleep or not. If you are lucky, you will drift into deep sleep immediately. Same is the case with the self-surrender also. It is not in your control. Because the ability to surrender yourself is a blessing by itself. The ability to surrender yourself is a blessing by itself. All that you can do whatever you can in the physical realm. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, Guruji. This gives me a much clearer way to look inward and check where I stand. Thank you for that. My next question is, Guruji, I would like to sit for sadhan for 2 to 3 hours, but at present I can only sit for about 60 to 90 minutes. Will lesser sadhan time lead to slower spiritual progress?
Yeah, obviously, it's a straight question, right? There's nothing much brains to apply here. Everything needs certain minimum threshold. Like you need food for your energy. It doesn't mean that you just take one spoonful of food. You got to take sufficient quantity of food. Then only you will get the required energy to go through your day. So your question is like the problem of ledger balance, right? Sadhan means what? You are cleaning up your karma there. You do less sadhan, less karma is cleaned up. You do more sadhan, more karma is cleaned up. So, and then I've said that many a time in the past, after Shaktipat, we tell people to deliberately choose a place at a particular time in a day and close their eyes, sit for sadhan. For someone who is watching them, it appears like they're sitting for meditation. But in our path, it is not meditation. We call it as sadhan. Means Shakti is cleaning the karma in auto mode. Kindly don't apply the brake. That is all sadhan all about. So why we tell the people, okay, deliberately sit for some time every day? Because it will help them. Because of the force of the habit, even if they are not inclined to do sadhan sometimes, at least for that, the force of habit will inspire them. They will go and sit for some time every day. At least some amount of karma is neutralized. Otherwise, what will happen? From morning to evening, everyone is busy with their day-to-day life, with the unfolding destiny, running, rushing, running and rushing, morning to night. Where is the time for reflect upon the divine? Where is the time to wash off the accumulated karma? You are only accumulating more and more karma. So that's why we insist that at least for some time in every day, you sit for some time so that some amount of karma is eliminated, and that will add up over a period of time. That will, you keep logging in, just like you know someone keeps logging the flying hours. A pilot keeps logging the flying hours. When a pilot says, I have logged in 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours flying an aircraft is not a simple thing, but he has logged it over a period of time. It has taken many years. Similarly, you log in that time. Let's say every day you are doing meditation for, let's say, 1 hour. That means 30 days in a month, 30 hours in 1 year. Straight away you have about 300 plus hours. In about 3 years time, you logged in almost 1000 hours. You have logged in 1000 hours of meditation, or sadhan as you call it. And 1000 hours of sadhan would have wiped off so much of your karma. You can well imagine, which is not possible just for by doing it one day in for 1 hour, right? It's a cumulative thing which you accumulate, which will help you. Right? Generally, we suggest to people that do whatever you can. Ideally, in fact, my Guruji, His Holiness Swami Sahajananda Tirtha, he has been advised, used to advise 100 minutes, generally 100 minutes. But that's a very, very generic thumb rule. 100 minutes means 1 hour and 40 minutes. A good session. But don't get carried away by this figure. It is a very, very arbitrary figure which I have given. Just because my Guruji used to say that. Yes, definitely, someone who does only for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, what sadhan he will accumulate? See, there is something known as sweet spot. I hope you have heard this statement. Sweet spot. For example, we generally suggest people go for a walk, morning walk or evening walk. See, what happens when you start walking, the locomotion is getting affected to the body. That means the karmendriya of leg, it is activated. Your body is in motion. Chemicals are started getting released in the central nervous system. and they generally happen after about 30 minutes or something. If I'm not wrong, you just check it. You can Google around and check it. You can't say that let me start walking. So you walk for you take a few steps, and you expect the endorphins to start getting released in your central nervous system. How will it be possible? And you expect the BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic protein. It's supposed to be a protein molecule. It's supposed to be like a fertilizer for the brain. And if it is released in the central nervous system, the so-called the phenomena of neuroplasticity is supposed to set in, and the brain is supposed to get completely rearranged and repaired. Now, all that good things to your brain, they can't happen just because you have walked for 5 minutes a day, right? Okay, there is 5 minutes a walk, 10 minutes walking is good enough. It'll okay, your body is at least making a movement. But if you want a serious benefit out of it, you have to hit the sweet spot first. Minimum time, let's say half an hour to 45 minutes. That's, I think, generally the time, half an hour to 45 minutes or so, before the various cocktails of chemicals, they start getting released inside the central nervous system. It's supposed to bring about all those great benefits of walking. I hope you are aware of it. Because walking is not giving you only the benefit for your cardiovascular system. Of course, all right, your BP, sugar, all minor problems are taken care of. But real benefit is coming from in the brain, to the brain, because of the release of especially the BDNF protein molecule. So similarly, when you say sadhan, you say I do sadhan for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Why don't I get moksha? It's not fair enough, right? Do serious sadhan, and there's no limit, upper limit. There's no, of course, there is a minimum. Also, there's nothing on a minimum or upper limit like the sweet spot which you are mentioning. That is applicable more to physical phenomenon. But in the spiritual sciences, you really can't apply that principle of sweet spot. That I do meditation for about, let's say, 1 hour, good enough. Anything beyond that, it is a waste. No. And anything less than that, I don't achieve the purpose. So I got to achieve the minimum, that sweet spot. That thing is not there in sadhana, if you are thinking that way. But notwithstanding it, I recommend at least 100 minutes. Will that be okay for you?
Yes, Guruji.
So that's what I would say. See, for anything, you need to know, like you all know that you need to build up stamina. You got to eat good food. You start taking a little bit of food, what stamina you will build up? You got to eat in adequate quantity, right? So therefore, it's the same thing here. And then, of course, there is one more thing here. You have to, very crucial thing to understand. The ability to sustain and absorb. Long ago, I was watching a movie, I think, on Hollywood movie on Hercules. Hercules, the great man with having supernatural strength, physical strength. So he was, being shown, he was having his food. He did a barbecue of a animal, and he plucked one of the leg of the animal, and the leg is so big, he can't place it in any plate. So he had to hold it in his hands, the entire barbecued leg, and he was eating with his teeth directly. Look, you can't expect to eat in the same fashion. Firstly, you can't digest the food. Secondly, you end up with all problems, overweight, obesity. So it has to happen in a very, very structured way. If you want to build up your muscles, you want to build up similar to Hercules, You need to do it in a very, very structured way. Otherwise, you won't be able to absorb those extra boosts of these things. Same is the case with sadhan. Same is the case with sadhan. Sadhan here means cleaning of the karma. When the karma is being cleaned up, your events, day-to-day events, morning to night, your daily life, it is going to get impacted. Events will start unfolding at a rapid rate. Sometimes you are not able to sustain the speed because the karma is getting cleaned up. Now the events have to manifest fast. You're rushing morning to night because the karma is getting cleaned up. Not because you want to earn more money or you are trying to be greedy or anything. No, not like that. It's not that you are busy and you are rushing in your professional life and all that. No, it's not like that. The events, when they manifest, they are going to be so totally different. It's something like, I'll give you this example. Morning, you may be attending a funeral. Evening, you may be attending a party, cocktail party. Morning, you may be attending a funeral, and from there, you barely have a time to go and change, and then rushing to a cocktail party. That is going to be the pace at which the life is going to unfold. Events will start manifesting very rapidly. Totally different events, unconnected events, unrelated events. I hope you understood what I'm trying to say.
Yes, Guruji. Thank you so much for answering the question about how much sadhan time is adequate for proper spiritual progress. One last question from me today. How to distinguish between Kundalini Kriyas and genuine progress towards higher states like Savikalpa Samadhi?
See, you are, I think, getting mixed up here again. I think. See, Savikalpa Samadhi, firstly, it is one of the lower Samadhis. Samadhi, generally, they say it is two types, lower and higher. Savikalpa Samadhi is lower. Higher is called as, referred to as Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And there are other various names also to that. The natural state for any human mind is Samadhi only. Firstly, Savikalpa Samadhi, followed by the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is the natural state of the mind. It is just that because of the karmas beneath the surface of this conscious mind, the conscious mind, or the surface of the conscious mind, is in a state of chaos. It is constantly being subjected to all 9 kinds of modifications or 9 kinds of human emotions, as you say. So, as the karma is cleaned up, the mind naturally gravitates towards the state of calmness. While the karma is being cleaned up, the reactions are experienced in the mind, body, and the external life. The kriya, as which you are referring to, is basically a reaction which is experienced when the karma is being burned down. And when the karma is burned down, then only the mind will start drifting towards the Savikalpa Samadhi, which you are referring to. Now, I hope you got the difference now. Is this your doubt?
Yes. Essentially, what I was asking was there are certain kriyas like uh, effortless meditative absorption, like you sit down for sadhan and suddenly you are pulled into effortless meditative absorption, dhyan. So, how do you differentiate? Like, is it a kriya or are you progressing towards? something.
Yes. See, there is something here you need to understand. After Shaktipat, all sensual impressions are cleaned up, or the process begins. All sensual impressions of all kinds, they are wiped out. As the karmas is getting wiped out, the based on the what kind of karma is being wiped out, the respective reaction is felt either in the body or in the mind or in the emotional state or in the external life of a person. I hope you are with me so far.
Yes.
Now, this is very crucial to understand. If you don't understand this, then you'll miss the entire thing. Now, when we say external life, what do you mean by that? So let's say someone has been a thief all his life. This lifetime, he has been blessed with a Shaktipat Diksha. But then his karma has been compressed now because he has to undergo, he cannot violate the karmic law. He can't free himself from his karma without experiencing it, consequences. Yes, at the best, what will happen is it will get compressed. And someone is going to come and steal from him, and that karma is wiped out. But remember, any good merits which he must have accumulated, that will also get wiped out. Because someone may say, if all the sins are going to be wiped out, so why not the entire humanity take Shaktipat Diksha? But you must also remember that along with the sinful actions or the so-called negative karma, all your religious merit or the positive karma is also going to get wiped out. You have to be prepared for both. It's going to be neat and clean wiping of the slate. This is as far as your external life is concerned. If the karma is not that strong, the person may feel the emotions. Just the emotions. And it will die down because the karma is not that strong. For example, someone may be having a kind of a karmic relationship with a girl with an opposite sex. If the karma is so strong, it may physically manifest into a one-night stand or some kind of a union, physical union. But if the karma is not that strong, the person may undergo the emotion of love and attraction, and it will die down over a period of time. Similarly, various karma pertaining to various categories. Earlier, I was giving you the example of someone who has never done Hatha Yoga practice in his lifetime. How come he has started performing various mudras? Someone who has never read certain mantras, who has never learned certain mantras, he starts reciting those mantras. Where has the knowledge come from? Obviously, it is already there inside the subconscious mind. As the Shaktipat has been done, and Shakti is now churning it completely, it is coming out in the form of reactions or the karma. Similarly, just like that, imagine someone who must have practiced, let's say, music. He has been a musician. He must have enjoyed the beautiful producing music or listening to music, drifting into beautiful blissful state. Now, that blissful state also would have become a memory for him. Further, what if that person must have practiced, let's say, bhakti yoga in his previous life, in his intense state of devotion to God, he must have experienced absolute nice bliss inside the mind. But remember, Shakti was not awakened at that time. Because of that, those memories are also now imprinted here in the subconscious mind and carried forward now in this lifetime. Now, in this lifetime, when Shaktipat was done, when Kundalini energy was awakened, the memories of the blissful state also need to get eliminated. The memory of blissful state needs to get eliminated. And for that, the experience itself is going to be compressed in one of the meditative sessions, or once or twice or a few times rather. The person experiences a very intense state of bliss. And so I have seen many disciples saying, Guruji, I think I have reached a very higher level. I'm experiencing samadhi. No, you're wrong. Because soon the mind is now going to be thrown back into its normal state. Because what happens when the karma is wiped out, mind naturally gravitates towards that state of the savikalpa samadhi which you are referring to. That means morning to night, even while the person is in a normal waking state, I'm using the word, repeating the word, waking state. Of course, when you drift into dream state or sleep state, you don't know what is happening, what is happening. While the person is in a waking state, his reaction to the world outside around him, it is now tempered. He is no longer that angry young man. Many people, they say, once upon a time, I used to be so angry. If someone has criticized anything against me, I used to go and first hit him and then talk to him later. So that kind of violent reaction may no longer be exhibited by you, because the karma has been wiped out. The reason for that. So as the karma is getting wiped out, the reactions become calm, and the mind drifts towards the savikalpa state. But it needs to remain in that savikalpa state continuously, morning to night. That means the entire emotional profile of the person needs to undergo a change. It is not like Ashtanga Yoga. Remember that. In Ashtanga Yoga or meditation-based yoga techniques, temporarily, or even for that matter in Bhakti Yoga, the mind drifts into a state of Savikalpa Samadhi or the lower Samadhi temporarily. Soon it is thrown back out from it. You are back to square one. This is not the case when naturally mind is drifting towards the Savikalpa state. What is happening in meditation-based yoga system and also the devotion-based yoga system, that is Bhakti Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, you are tricking the mind by hook or crook and forcing it into a state of Savikalpa Samadhi. And how do you do that? You know the techniques. People pick up an object, you are concentrating so intensely on that, slowly the mind is engrossed with that object, and at some stage the object vanishes and the mind drifts into stillness. And what is happening in Bhakti Yoga? You pick up a god or a goddess, your devotion to the god and goddess is so intense, at some stage the god will disappear and the mind drifts into Bhav Samadhi. What you call the Savikalpa Samadhi, what you are saying. Because Samadhi is referred to by different names in different yoga systems. The so-called the word Savikalpa Samadhi which you used, that pertains to Ashtanga Yoga basically. In case of Bhakti Yoga, they use the word, some other word. No, they call it as Bhav Samadhi, if I'm not wrong. So therefore, Kriya is something. Kriya is the mechanism through which the mind is drifting towards that state. Or manifestation of the Kriya or the reaction either in the body, either in the mind, or in your external life. They are a means, they are a medium for the mind to reach the terminal stage. And these kriyas, while you are experiencing, sometimes they appear as if it is a kind of a blissful state. That doesn't mean that you have reached somewhere else. That is a basic misconception of the people. If you have reached somewhere else, the so-called magical state, you got to be in that state continuously throughout the day, morning to night. Your very mental profile has to undergo a change permanently, forever. Not that temporarily you enjoyed a blissful meditative state and now you started thinking that I have become a great sage now. That one will only add to your egoism here. And why do we experience that state? I have just now explained to you the reason for that. Because in your previous lifetime, you must have done certain meditation practices. You must have temporarily experienced those states. That time the Shakti was not awakened. Because of that, those memories got imprinted in your subconscious mind and now carried forward when you have taken birth again. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, Guruji, you have cleared up all those doubts fantastically. And Guruji, everything you've shared with us today feels like a real treasure. And from my heart, koti koti pranam and my deepest gratitude to you.
God bless you. All the best.
To everyone listening, and as a humble disciple of my Guru Ma myself, I want to thank Guruji from the depths of my heart for this precious time, for his boundless compassion, and for this selfless guidance. With folded hands, my prayer is this: may every sadhak walking this path find the shelter of the Guru Tattva, find steadiness in their sadhan, and I hope this inner journey keeps unfolding forward for you all. If anything in today's questions and answers touched something within you, I would encourage you to explore the gurus of this lineage and their literature. Thank you for being here. Pranam Guruji.
God bless you.